Hey everyone, it's Stephanie again, and you are tuned into the review of Married at First Sight, Season 9, Episode 13. And I have my wonderful husband with me.
What's going on? I'm back. It's been a minute, but I'm glad to be back with you all. So I'm excited for today's review, or tonight's review.
Babe, share your name with those who don't know you. Because a lot of people
they know me up in here. You only got to introduce myself. My name is Manley. I'm Stephanie's husband. And first, I just want to say thank you for all of you all that have supported her channel. It's been awesome. It's been a great experience to watch her share with you all. She put so much into it. Thank you all that participated in the super chat, the live stream. We'll probably, maybe do some more of those. Maybe I can sneak into one of those live ones. Let's get started. If you've never watched her, please like and subscribe because you don't want to miss her notifications when she pops up with some new great content. So we want to make sure we do that. And then let's get into the show.
All right, guys. I'm a little low energy today. I don't know what's going on. My birthday was yesterday, so we celebrated a lot over the weekend and yesterday. So I'm a little tired, but I will give you the best that I got. So a lot of you...
Yeah, that's why she's tired.
Okay. Oh my God. So a lot of you guys wanted to know what he thought about some of the couples. I will just give my synopsis on last night's episode. Married at First Sight, first of all, I do love this, even with all, like, my love-hate. I do love this, like, series, but one of the things they know how to do best is, like, drag something out. And last night's episode, to me, felt like a complete drag out. Like, why are we not just kind of jumping into decision day already? It was the couples kind of deciding if they wanted to be together or not, which we knew that they were going to get there, but... the same issues. It's almost like the same promptings over and over from production to answer the same questions with just different words. It felt super lengthy, super unnecessary for an hour and a half. So we're just going to kind of talk about what we feel about the couples, what we think they're going to do next episode, and we'll kick it off. And then you guys will get to hear from him some of the stuff that he thinks about the couples that, I haven't shared, obviously. So let's kick it off with Iris and Keith. For me, Iris and Keith, here's the thing.
Right to that, huh?
Yeah, I want to kick it off with them. Iris and Keith, I think they're going to stay together. A lot of people have been back and forth with where they think Keith is and what, Iris needs to be doing. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure on her to do a lot.
Like what? I'm just curious.
Because her virginity has been like the nucleus of their relationship. She needs to step it up. She needs to step it up. She needs to step it up. She needs to step it down. She needs to not be so quirky. She needs to not be so controlling. And yes, she has all of these issues, and I've even talked about it. But we've kind of given Keith this savior complex, like there isn't much going on with him because he has stuck around with the virgin. It's like... And Keith is a great guy. I really like him, and I really like them together, and I love how beautifully he's handled something that he's obviously uncomfortable with. But I think they both have responsibility for the longevity of that relationship, but I think they are so wonderfully matched. I love that his mom, when they got together, his mom, because we tend to focus, and I said this on the last episode or one of my videos, we tend to focus on like the 20% of what we're missing and like ignoring the 80% because we're so hyper focused on what we don't have. And his mom said, do the differences that you guys have outweigh the commonalities, which I thought was so great because you could see that shift in him. And he was like, we actually are matched very well. We have a lot of things in common. We have more in common than I thought we did. And that put him in a different frame of mind to say, yes, there are these bold differences that are a little concerning or a lot concerning, but here are all these other things that make this a worthwhile relationship and possible longevity. So what do you think?
The whole or just...
all of that.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, where do we start? Where do we begin with this? First of all, I like them as a couple. I think they have great energy together. I think they both can learn and grow. But do you want me to go there? Like go to the virginity part? Or?
Listen, the people want to hear from you. They've been asking.
All right. So here's the deal. Let's get into it. Let's get into this. There's two sides to this. Okay. Initially, when I first saw it, I was like, nope, no way. If I was him, I would just be like, dude, get me out of here, because this is just too much to deal with. And at that age, and a lot of people say, and we're Christians and we get to understand that. However, I want people to realize that, when these old books and scriptures were written, people weren't waiting to 25, 30, like marriage was like waiting till you're like 12, 13, 14, 15, and then you got married to the first person you were with, and that's what consummated and everything else. But the human body, like, unless you're really good at, like, you know, meditation or something like that, or you're chosen to be in the cloth or something like that, like, the body releases certain literally different chemicals, and that causes different feelings and emotions, and that comes with levels of maturity and understanding different things and how people connect. So the part where a lot of people are thinking that it's just an issue with you know, sex, it's not that. It's the fact that it's the level of sexual maturity and intimacy. She's very high schoolish and playful in that regard because she's inexperienced. And so a lot of men would not even want to put up with that. And I would say if I was in the dating world, we weren't married, I wouldn't even get past date 1 because of that. And it's unfortunate. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you should do this. Let's say, look, let me just, a lot of big issues with a lot of people, right? A lot of women want men to be women and think like women. Men want women to think like men a lot of times. We want you to be as sexual as us. We want you to be as, and the women want us to be as delicate and smooth. We're not. We're not. All right? We're not like that.
Organized.
Okay? Some of us are, if you get, you know, and it's just, we just got to respect that. But here's the other side of that. So that's the single version. That's when I was single and dating and all of that. Wouldn't want to deal with that because a lot of times men, we are not trained to go get married. Like, a lot of women are trained from 4 or 5 years old. What is going to be at your wedding and your bride and your dress? We're out here trained to do a lot of other stuff.
The opposite.
You know, look at her. That's a go-getter. He's going to be a lady magnet. 3 years old, touching booties. And they like, look at that's my man's. You know, it's like, and a 12-year-old, 13, 14, 15-year-old girl can't even go on a date, can't even text a boy, let alone the 5-year-old is out here having his way. But the problem with that is this. When it comes the time to start thinking about this, we sometimes have the wrong priorities. So this is the other side of that coin. I think Iris is actually perfect for him. Because marriage is not about who you were. It's about who you are growing to be. So when you look at any religious text, well, I will say the one that I'm familiar with, they talk about, you know, a man has to, you know, love his wife like Jesus loved the church. Well, what that means is he has to actually die. Okay? The single version of that man has to die. You can no longer be that person because that person in marriage is not going to be the husband, the one that builds that growth. So she's the perfect person for him because she's forcing him to grow on a level of intimacy. And I was telling her, I bet you if they have kids, they're going to have a girl. I promise you they are. And he's going to know how to raise her better because of what he went through, the growth he had to grow through to his wife, and the level of retraining himself to be intimate. Because when you go into sexual situations, a lot of times we go into it with the sexual performance that we're used to with the people we've been with or the things that make us feel good. But now he has to really go to the basics and care for her in an intimate way to earn the trust of his wife, which I think in the end will make him a better man. I think it will make him a way better man, a better father, and a better husband. And I think that even if they have a son, I think it will help him raise his son better as well. And maybe he doesn't, you know, wait till marriage for it, but even if he dealt with a girl in whatever, high school, college, whenever he does it, he'll be able to have a conversation with his son that really shows him the respect level that his mother had. Right. Not that it's not that you don't respect yourself if you have sex before marriage. I'm not getting into anybody's belief because I know, you know, I'm not, you know, it's a kettle, a pot, a teacup, all types of things going on. So I wouldn't even get into that, you know. But what I'm saying is he'll have a better level of intimacy as long as she is willing to grow. And that's the thing about marriage. She has to grow and not look at certain sexual things as ew. Yeah, like, you know, like doggy style. I mean, it's a whole more than that. It's a lot more than that.
I think it's on camera for her.
But I think, but once she starts being, I think that comes. Like, we mature in sex by having sex. Like, when we first started, a lot of us wasn't doing all the things we doing now. You know what I'm saying? All the chains and whips and, you know.
So moving on. I love that you said, like, die to yourself, because that's huge. And I think in a marriage you do have to die to self in the way that it's not only about self anymore. It's always about, and it doesn't mean you can't be an individual, but it means that that individual still has to be respectful and still has to be intentional in the growth of the union that they have committed to.
I'm gonna come back to that on another couple.
I love the die to yourself. This is the perfect segue to talk about who has not died to themselves.
I was about to say, I got a couple more things on that one.
So Matt has not died to himself. Matt and Amber, okay? I'm just like all over the place because I usually save them for last. But Matt and Amber, I'll go quickly because I feel like we've beat this couple down.
I haven't. Let me get in the ring.
But Matt has Amber has not looked happy in the last few episodes, and this is just like an hour and some change of what we're seeing.
She's been crying every day.
Every single episode, she looks like she's crying. They need to just call it quits. Obviously, if you saw last night's episode, then you saw that, you know, her best friend saw him at a bar or something with another woman, and it definitely didn't look familial, okay? It didn't look like he was with his cousin.
He didn't even know his family. Where's his family?
Exactly. So, you know, I mean, I don't think that shocks any of us. But Matt is living in a fantasy. I don't know if there's like $5,000 at the end of this series for him or something, but whatever it is that he's getting, maybe this was the job. He was trying to get back into basketball, trying to start his business. Maybe this is the job and he has to finish it, because what he's saying doesn't match up with what he is doing at all. And not only that, like, as I mature, I definitely believe in the energy of what I feel more than what anybody says or even does at this point. So you can do something nice, but if energetically I'm not feeling that that's genuine, then I don't care. And so Matt is like barely showing up. She's like, you know, we're spending more time together. And I was just like, what, is he coming home 3 times a week now instead of just 2? You know, like, he's talking about the growth that he's had and the work that they've done. You haven't even been around Matt. When did you have time to do the work? You know, what kind of work have you done? I mean, it's ridiculous. I think that's why last night I was so annoyed, because I was like, what are we talking about here? Like, Matt, who do you think you are?
Your face while watching last night was just like, he's like, man, and you know, I'm just putting in the work. And you're like,
who do you think you are, Matt? Who do you think we are? That we're so stupid that we would be like, you know what, he is actually, like, we've picked up on game for a very long time now. And I feel really bad for her, because she got matched with someone who was not genuinely invested in this. Whatever coin toss he won to do this, or whatever point he was trying to prove to do this, it was not for really connecting with someone and committing with someone. And I just feel really, really bad for her. I think that, and a lot of people, because I've read comments say, you know, the experts really messed it up and they did, you know, X, Y, Z. And sometimes, and I know it's easy to blame them, but we just have to be aware of how well people can present.
And she even said that he's everything on paper that she wanted.
People can present very, very well, okay? I used to work with someone who is a psychologist. She presents exceptionally well. Like, she wows you.
You ever seen somebody from the hood do an interview?
I mean, she wowed me. And literally, you know, as I got to know her, it was a very different experience than what I had experienced. So, like, we can't really blame the experts, because he could have come in, he did clearly, because he got chosen out of so many other people. He could have come in a different way, and there's just only so much that you can pick up on, really. So yeah. I just feel sorry for her. Obviously they're gonna call it quits. I hate that she really has to do some self-work. They both do, and we've said that before, but I hate that in her friend sharing that with her, her thing was like, I just wish I didn't have to kind of deal with this, or I wish it wasn't true. Not really even because I really still like him and have feelings for him. Not even like absurdly, she's hurt because clearly she started crying, but her first few responses were more of like, almost like, I wish he didn't tell me. That's like the only thing she didn't say that I felt like she was feeling. I wish he didn't tell me. I wish he didn't know. I didn't know, because now I'm pushed to make a decision I was not ready to make. I feel like Amber was willing to say yes on decision day to save face and hope like that it turns into something, knowing it's not, rather than having to do like the big girl thing and cutting her losses. And her friend sharing that with her is forcing her to do that, and I'm glad. You know, that's her saving grace. It's better now than, you know, whenever it happens, because it will, because he's not serious. So that's Matt and Amber.
I mean, I have, so where would you like me to start on this one?
Wherever you want.
Okay, so I'm gonna rattle this off really quick. I was talking to Steph and I was just telling her that there's like, I just made these up, but this is what has helped me. These 4 things to being a husband. Now, first of all, we don't go into being a husband. I even told him when we first got married, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to, I don't know, but you got to find something to submit to. People think that submission is about a woman submitting to a man. That's part of it. But I believe, number one, a man has to submit to a higher power. And in my case is God. But you have to find something bigger and something that's more than you to help you get the tools you need to perform and to lead and provide spiritual growth and that type of leadership inside the marriage. Number 2 is the death. Like I said, you got to die to yourself, realize that you're not who you used to be. And then number 3 is growing pains, which is you have to grow. Because if you're not growing, you're dying. And what has to happen is you have to give the space for the other person to grow. So, for example, I don't think that, like the lemonade issue, a lot of people tripped off the lemonade. I tripped off of it because I'm like, I got frat brothers, that wouldn't work. But I'm like, they just got married. She's not going to necessarily be doing that 10 years from now, 5 years from now. If so, it'd be like, look, y'all, the lemonade over there is y'all's. The other one is for the company. That's an easy fix. And a lot of people are not willing to grow with that person because you might have been prepared for marriage since 19. Matt, not even. He's not. He floated it off. Yeah. He floated off. You see how he's smooth off the camera. But I think he likes the idea of family because he's missing and there's holes in it. So a lot of people will use marriage as a way to solve inner issues or the idea of marriage. And then the 4th thing, so you got submission, death, growing, and then the 4th one is providing spiritual support, emotional, financial growth, and a space for a person to feel comfortable. Amber doesn't feel safe. She doesn't feel safe in her own house. She doesn't feel comfortable. That's not a place that you can grow and grow through the pains. Like him being out, those things, okay, somebody might be like that and they have to like reel it in. But when you come and create boundaries and then you overstep those boundaries and you're just kind of like in this other world that you're not even really remorseful, you're not even really apologetic about it. It's kind of like, man, she's annoying and certain things.
See,
like, I don't like spending time.
He doesn't like her.
Your wife is somebody you're going to spend time with, bro. Yeah. Like, and they haven't even got to anything real yet. Yeah, nobody's gotten sick. Nobody's gotten where they couldn't bathe themselves or parents or anything like that or deaths. It's a lot that you deal with. And if you don't have that emotional on just a regular day, and then it may not be for you. So people, if you see a version of Matt in yourself, I would say go and work on yourself. And realize, why do you want to get married? He has to mend. And this is the thing. The bigger your future, the more complete you have to be with your past. And with that being said, Matt has to complete some of those relationships. If he didn't even really care too much about his family being there, and he could just loosey-goose, didn't even tell them. Matter of fact, not even just being there. Some people's family just won't support. You can't control that. But to not even tell them, what will he do in a marriage then?
Yeah, I mean, your family of origin you're the most loyal to. We let family get away with murder. It's like, well, they're family, and that's when you don't have good boundaries.
And a lot of people,
but if you're doing that to your family, then this woman that you've known for X amount of weeks, like,
she's insignificant. Yeah,
you're not going to do that. And he doesn't treat himself well, to be honest, so there's a lot of self-work that he has to do on his end as well. Yeah,
so one thing he said where he was like, it was something, he was like, something about himself when we said that. He said I had to think what's going on with Matt to make me feel. You remember that?
What makes me happy? He's and it's not in a healthy way where he's like, is this the right relationship for me? It's very much like what Matt wants, Matt's world.
And you got to roll with it, and that's just not happy. That's an overstatement, man. Happiness can be in any situation. So.
Yeah. So that's Matt and Amber. Clearly, we don't think they're gonna make it. I hope she's smart enough not to wait on him to say it first. Next is Deanna and Greg. So Deanna and Greg, like I said, picture perfect. Not that they're perfect, but picture perfect. They're exactly what this experiment was designed for in terms of their growth. There's still little things that they have to work on. To be honest, I feel like they're prompted to say, I don't know. Because it's like, y'all are smooth sailing here. There is no question.
Neither one of them are going to say no.
No, they're not. They're great together, And here's the thing. He talks about her being guarded. We have to really think about the reality of this experiment. It is 7 weeks. It is 8 weeks, but 7 and some change, and then they have to make a decision. And it's like, are you going to? This person didn't let their walls down in 7 weeks, and it's like, you can be with somebody for years and they don't let their walls down. So I think she's done really well, considering she was by herself for a decade. And now she's jumped in and gotten married and has been adventurous and has been intimate and lived with someone and done all these things and is communicating far more than she wants. I think for Greg, he needs to appreciate her level of communication so that she can get comfortable with more. And I love Greg, okay? But he was starting to get on my nerves and the episode last night, kind of like begging for her to say something. It's like...
Yeah, I got something to say on that part.
It's a little too much. You're getting it. You have to really think about, where is this person coming from? Realistically, this is like 6 or 7 weeks. You're hyperverbal with your emotions. So that's great. Maybe by continuing to provide that and giving her the space to be comfortable, she will continue to let her walls down, because he has noticed that she has improved on her communication. But I don't, no one is changed overnight here. And sometimes we come in, like she comes in very adventurous and he comes in somewhat timid. Are we expecting him to skydive in 8 weeks? No. Yeah. So I think we're just, at this point, even we're trying to find something to say about them. Because they're so perfect.
I got a lot of things to say about them. I mean, I won't say too much, but what does he do for a living? Do you remember?
I don't know. Something in I really don't know. I could be making this up. I was going to say finance or numbers or analysis.
He just seemed very left brain regardless. He might do something in social work. We don't know. But
no, he doesn't. No, they said it. One of you guys have said it. It's something very analogous.
Exactly. That's what I thought. Yeah. So that's going to go right into my point.
Yeah.
So anybody, and I like to talk to, because it's a small population of men that watch this, but even women as well. If you're very analytical, right? You're very systems, everything's structured, everything's color-coded in your house, everything's neat. All of that type of stuff, and you do something like an engineer, all of that good, exciting stuff. Here's the thing about that. That's great. And I think what happens is a lot of people will think that communication is verbal X and O's. Communication is not, it's tonality, it's body language, it's what you don't say, it's how you present, it's how you respond. And as a speaker, I have to be able to notice this in front of crowds and see the room and feel the energy without talking to someone. So what I want him to realize is that he has to emotionally communicate and give that safe space and pick up on her cues, instead of saying something like, oh, you're guarded, but you're like forcing her to put a wall up. It's like, with no wall, but then you say, do you love me? That's an automatic wall for everybody. That is not a question.
It's terrible.
I don't even think I've ever asked you that. I've asked, since we've been married, I've never asked you that. It's automatic wall.
After 7 weeks? No, I don't love you.
That's like asking a man, like, so you ready for this baby? What? What? I mean, you don't even come prepared for that.
There's certain questions you don't even ask. That should be felt.
It's
that's
just
a feeling.
It's so many, you have to Q&A it up. And there was another couple that was very much like that. I think it was Will, or who was it? Somebody long ago that was very similar. So just notice that sometimes just chill out and be you. And that is enough communication to let that grow and give that person space, again, to grow. Yeah. So that's it for that.
But we see them. Oh, she was unfiltered for the first unfiltered for the first time last night, so it was good to see her. I know there's all these prego rumors going on about her, so yeah, because she had never been the whole season. So we saw her last night. I was trying to zoom in and see if
people love to make up the truth, don't they?
Well, she hasn't been on. I thought
that's the only reason she could.
Listen, whatever. Man. So that's Deanna and Greg. Love them though. I'm happy to see their growth. Last but certainly not least, we have Jaime and Elizabeth. So I think Jaime and Elizabeth are going to stay together.
I think Greg's a good dude, though. I want to say that.
He's a great guy. We love Greg. We've said that, but he's got to chill. But we love Greg. I love Greg. I've loved him since he was praying and he got emotional with his friends at the wedding, because he just seems like a solid dude.
See, that's my point. That's what I mean. You got to have something you submit to. And he even ate the bugs. Like, he was ride or die for that. Mm-hmm. I would. You would.
Definitely not. No, absolutely not. So
what if that was how you show your love to me?
It's not. It's not. Then the answer is no. So Jaime and Elizabeth, I think they're gonna stay together. Here's why.
I do too.
Because I think they like their
drama hook. They love it.
They love the roller coaster. They like that drama hook. They love the dysfunction. They know how to thrive in the dysfunction, and that's something that we really need to pay attention to. And I would, have you guys or implore you guys to really pay attention to what drama hook you like in your life.
Everybody,
because we all have them. Because watching their train wreck of a relationship, even though I think they genuinely have good feelings towards each other and they really do care for each other, they just don't know how to relate and communicate effectively, set boundaries and remain in those boundaries, and push back some of the things that have been holding them back in other relationships. I think they really do care about each other, but we often do the same. So the feelings that you're having when you're looking at their relationship and you're like, oh my God, how could they keep doing that?
Yeah.
Just sit with yourself and think about what roller coaster you're on. It could be something simple. It doesn't have to be like the worst thing ever, but recognize that it looks the same for you. It's just that you can't see it because you're in it. So you can't really see it, but we all kind of have that. But like I said, a few weeks ago when I had mentioned that example of like black chair, red chair, green chair, I think it was like 3 episodes ago. They are in that red chair that's super passionate, but it's not the most realistic for longevity. That black chair, if you guys haven't, this is from a sermon that I saw, but the black chair is like a very cold, dead place. And the green chair is the one that sustains life, basically, and has ups and downs. So people, when they see red chair, black chair, green chair, they say, oh, I want to be in the red chair. So much passion. Well, passion burns, okay? And there's only so long that you're going to ride the waves of the flames until you choke out and die. Like, it's not meant to, I know, but it's not meant to sustain long term. Like, there is so much.
Going 200 miles an hour in a Lamborghini. How long can you do that?
Right. There's too much of a good thing, and that's where they are right now. So if they don't incorporate these tools and grow up, they're both very immature in certain ways. If they don't grow up and learn respect, and I think even if one of them kept their boundaries for real, they could trigger the other person to respect their boundaries, and they could really help each other. I don't know that they're capable right now based on what we've seen to do that. But I do think that they will stay together. I don't know, well, through decision day and beyond decision day. I don't know that they will last, or I think they won't last if something doesn't change.
They need some communication tools, because while watching them, I see things that a lot of people may not see. I see Jaime, he has this, I don't know where he felt like he's lost power in his life, but it seems like he has this whole power complex. And hear me out on this. When he's communicating, he uses short and very witty and sarcastic, I don't care, and that's a power technique. Silence. A lot of people say, I don't use power. Yes, you do. Silence is a power technique. When you control the room by the awkward behavior of you being silent or shutting down, that's a power mechanism. When somebody's being very short and snarky, it's like nothing you can do but give them power. And that is what he's doing. And that may be why he wants sex so much, because sex is about power. It's funny, I not always about power, but it was in House of Cards. It was like everything is about sex, but sex is about power. And he said everything we do is to get, especially as men, and then when we get it, it's a power thing, unless you're in the love and the intimacy and all of that. And that's sometimes how we have to look at it, is to, are we doing this in a power or in a controlling mechanism? And then there's also the ability that I think Jaime actually really needs to talk to somebody, because he might even have some sexual addiction going on, because it seems very vanilla and very to the point where you're attacking your wife. That's not a safe space either. That's a very like ragdollish type, I don't know what other use to sex toy type of thing.
Some issues with sex and some issues with relationship. I don't know what that is, but for him, he cannot recognize, because he is not able to effectively connect in a way with her that triggers her level of intimacy. He goes like caveman. So sex is literally the physical connection. She wants that intimacy. He does not know how to do that. So, and a lot of people mistake the physicality of sex for being intimate and connected. He doesn't know how to do that, and I think he's blocked. Hence why he gets very nasty very quickly, and he's getting even more upset that the way that he believes the connection happens, he can't connect. Because it's absurd that they've had this conversation about sex so consistently, kind of conversation, argument about sex so consistently in such a short amount of time. Like,
Right.
it's unattractive. Like, I see why she doesn't even want to do that. Now, she probably has her own circumstances or issues or whatever the case may be, but if he was maybe approaching it differently and asking her questions, or how do you feel like this, or what makes you feel connected, what turns you on, there's you're my wife, you should be giving it up, laying like a crack crab every single night.
Not a crack crab, man.
I poked you in the back last night, you said no. This morning you said no. It's like, whoa.
Open season, huh? Like
that's that's not
like a late night McDonald's in the college town.
Just
It's always open.
Just because that's your spouse doesn't mean that you don't need to love on them. It's we're all, I don't want to say obligated. It is your duty in some ways. Like, let's be real, you guys are committed to each other, but he is demanding, and it's so much more than the sex.
And let's give an example of how he could be intimate outside of the bedroom, right? Because I know before I learned what intimacy was, I wouldn't even know how to see it or recognize it. Prime example, when they were at the racetrack, okay? I'm gonna give you an example of not intimate and intimate. Not intimate, she's talking, she has experience in this. You know, she talks out of turn. It just is who she has been. You know, her dad probably lets her get away with it. And so this is who she is, right? And she's talking, and yes, she probably should have been quiet, let the guy, explain. Here's the problem. He just said, what, shut up or something like that. So not intimate with the wife. No respect in that level either. Second thing, they weren't even standing next to each other.
Yeah, they were.
Okay, so that was number one, being next to her while they're getting the instructions, and it could have been, while she's talking, babe, let's just bring it. I know you got experience. After this, let's just let you tell everybody about what you've done, your experience, but let's let him go ahead and just explain everything.
Right.
Boom, done. Be like, touch her, be with her, and that's what intimacy is. Here's, if you really want a definition, is being with that person, fully present in the moment with them, however they show up. Period. And connecting with that person on a very, I'm here for you, I'm supporting you. Even if they're wrong, you can still be intimate in your correction and in your discipline or guidance, and be intimate in sex and in anything. And you can be intimate with just in your business, in your craft, at your job. You can be present. So that's number one. Number two, I wanted to talk about just the fact of how awkward it makes like her feel when you just always bring up sex in that way. And I think he just has to learn a different way to connect with her so that she is not feeling used, and I don't think he has a way to explain that. And they definitely need a counselor or therapy therapy. They should actually go through with that. And the last thing on this topic, and then we can move to, I think, is this the last couple?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the part about the drama hooks. So if you all have a drama hook and you know what it is, I'd love to know. We may or may not comment on it, but I just want to see if you all know your drama hook, and if so, you can put it in the comments below. And I'll tell you something. I was talking to one of my frat brothers, and I was telling him, I was like, man, we all have drama hooks. I was like, even men. He was like, no, I don't, man. I don't have any drama. I said, is that right? I said, so you told me today, or not too long ago, that Ezekiel Elliott didn't sign his contract. You're following the sports news, right? You watch the games, and a good game is one that goes back and forth, and it was a buzzer beat. That's drama. That's a dramatic. I'm about to watch one in about 10 minutes, and I want to see the drama, the back and forth. Now, that might be a stretch, but our gossip is usually in sports, and it's a lot of drama in that, and the competitiveness. But in a relationship, your drama might be that you just want attention, that you want to be right, that you want to create something so that you can be loved. Like, a lot of people want, makeup sex, so they have to create an issue in order to have makeup sex. Like, that doesn't, do you see how that actually means we have to create an issue in order for us to get to that, if that's the pinnacle sex? Because, and they even said that, that's how I know you love me. That's a very loaded statement that they said, that I know it's real. That doesn't mean it's real. You can have passion without clashing. Like, you can actually know it's real without ripping each other's head off and talking in such a, barbaric way to each other. I really can't believe. I'm just trying to think of what it would have been like if I would have called you what he said to her. I mean, it would have been the last. I don't think I've ever seen you again.
I don't think you would even be alive for this video. What are you talking about?
I'm not talking about now. I mean, of course not. I'm just talking about in dating.
I can't even, and
you're
just
materialistic.
You just, you get what you.
I fainted
you
and
get
woke
what
up
you
and passed
accept,
out when I saw that.
You get what you accept. I mean, if
That would've
you
been the
are
end of
okay with being treated a certain way, then people will treat you a certain way. So.
Yeah, men push the envelope. We treat you how you allow us to treat you. I mean, I'm not saying that for me personally, but I'm just saying it is. If you treat yourself in a certain way and you don't have any boundaries, you don't respect your own boundaries, it's not going to be easy for. I mean, it's not going to be difficult for somebody to not respect your boundaries either.
All right, guys. So that's the last couple, and yeah, that's what we thought. So hope you enjoyed. Iris and Keith will stay together. At least I think
they'll stay together too. I think they need more time.
Yeah, I think they need more time. Deanna and Greg for sure. Matt and Amber are done. Jaime and Elizabeth will stay together, but I don't see them lasting. Now, the two couples that I'm sure about, I hope they last, but I don't know. I'm just going to give the examples for decision day. So I
sure hope. I hope that Amber says no. That's what I would like to see, because I think they could stay together if he gave her this story. And her dream for wanting a perfect or great marriage, I think, is stronger than what she's actually getting right now. But
all right. Well, you guys, don't forget to comment, subscribe, and like, and I'll see you next week.
Alrighty. Take care.